Welcome to your favourite day of the week, everyone, and the ancient Romans were a weird bunch, weren't they? Most notably known for the excessive amount of orgies they had, but I also think they had quite a large empire which spanned roughly 1,000 years. So how did they sustain all their manic and frantic activities, and if you travelled back in time roughly 2,000 years ago, what would be on your plate at the dinner table? Because of the over 1,000 year span of the Roman Empire, they had an enormous culinary range that kept expanding as the empire did. New trade routes began to open up, bringing the finest dishes and ingredients from all corners of the world for the Roman population to feast upon. Dietary habits were affected by your social class in Rome, as if you're a slave, your diet would be extraordinarily bland compared to the master you were serving, and if you haven't liked this video yet and subscribed to the channel, your taste is also extraordinarily bland. Traditionally, the Romans would have enjoyed 3 meals throughout the day. A hearty breakfast called this unpronounceable word, which was eaten at the crack of dawn and was usually bread and salt. Cena, which was the main meal of the day, was eaten at noon to early afternoon, and then a light supper followed at nightfall called vesperna. With the ever-increasing amount of foods available to Rome, the meal of cena, which we discussed the extravagance on a bit later on, became increasingly larger and more varied, and thus the evening supper of vesperna became increasingly redundant. It was replaced by a midday meal called prandium, which was eaten at around 11 o'clock and was a light snack of sometimes egg or fish, with vegetables to satisfy one hunger until cena. The changes were less distinct in the lower class Romans, however, as the meals corresponded with the daily rhythms of manual labour. If you were poor, then you'd better hope you liked porridge, because you'll be eating a lot of it. The Roman porridge was called puls, which was made with emmer wheat, water, salt and fats. With your wheat, you could have also ground it into flour to make a flat loaf of bread, and the bread and puls made up the vast majority of the poor's diet. If you were lucky enough, your porridge and bread could have been spiced up with a little bit of fruit or vegetables, and if you made a little bit of extra money this week, you could have also brought some meat for it. Now if you were rich, it's a whole different ballgame on what you ate. Their puls and bread would have been served with eggs, cheese, honey, meats and fish. Butcher's meat was an uncommon luxury for the Romans, with pork products such as sausages and bacon being their favourites. Beef was rare as well, being more common in their neighbouring country of Greece. Seafood, game and poultry were more customary to the Romans, with coops full of duck, fowl and geese available for sale at the markets. An astonishing variety of birds were valued for their meat, such as partridges, pheasants, blackbirds, doves, magpies, plovers, woodcocks and quails, as well as exotic birds such as flamingos, peacocks, parrots and ostriches, which could all find their way onto the dinner table in order to impress some guests. That's a lot of birds. I've got a toucan on my shirt, but that wasn't included. The emperor's name, who I also can't pronounce, was known to serve ostrich at his royal banquets and even give them as gifts to visiting dignitaries. At one dinner, he is said to have served 600 ostrich brains. Boar, venison, goats, lamb and hares were the most popular game that was eaten, as well as dormouse, which was considered a delicacy. If you want to learn more about the dormouse, I have a video on it. Go and watch it after this. Some archaeological reports even found remains of a giraffe leg in the drain of a restaurant in Pompeii. I also have a video on Pompeii. Roman aquaculture was sophisticated and had large-scale industries devoted to catching fish, shellfish, oak grubs and snails. The majority of fish eaten in Rome were brought from afar, so methods of preservation were paramount. Fish would be salted or pickled to be preserved, and some fish would be transported alive in small tanks. They mainly ate shellfish and morays, but all sorts of fish you find in the Mediterranean today were eaten, as well as squids and eels. One of the Romans' most common seasonings was a fish sauce called garum, a spicy sauce made of fish entrails and fermented in direct sunlight. And if you're interested in garum more, it's in the same video as the dormouse, so go and watch that for more food to flavour your taste buds. But Rome wasn't just filled with meat and fish, they also had vegetables they needed to finish if they wanted dessert. Peas, beans, lentils, olives, legumes and garlics were grown, as well as cabbages, which were held in great esteem. Roman Senator Cato believed cabbage to be good for digestion, and if you were sick, eating a lot of cabbage and bathing in your own piss would recover you from the sickness. Who needs paracetamol anyway? Fruits such as apples, pears, figs, grapes, and pomegranates, among others, were grown fresh for the summer and preserved in wine, grape juice, and honey for out-of-season eating. Cherries, oranges, dates, and lemons were exotic imports, and a variety of nuts, including walnuts, filberts, and almonds, were available for cooking and eating. The cows in Rome were also prized for their milk, and Romans were regarded as cheese-making connoisseurs, producing both soft and hard variations, and new Roman emperors would educate their new conquered subjects in the art of cheese-making. Another emperor whose name I can't pronounce had to pass laws to make sure cheese price didn't get out of control. And like every person in the world, the Romans also enjoyed a good drink. Most provinces of Rome were capable of producing an abundance of cheap wine, as Italy had the perfect conditions to grow grapes. Wine would usually be mixed with water before drinking, as fermentation was uncontrolled and alcohol content would be high. It was regularly consumed with daily meals and was part of religious observations, where before a meal, a ritual pouring of the wine was offered to the household gods. It was a Roman stereotype that the Gauls had an excessive love for wine and drank it unmixed, which was the sign of a barbarian. The Gauls also drank beer, which was also considered vulgar and barbaric to the Romans. If you were a Roman soldier fighting these barbaric Gauls, you would have consumed a high-calorie diet, as you're expected to be able to march up to 20 miles per day in heavy gear. Each man would have received 830 grams or 1.8 pounds of wheat per day in the form of grain, which could have been used for bread or puls, and provided quick energy essential for the battlefield hardships. The wheat was complemented with a pound of bacon, cheese, and a salt ration in order to ensure the freshness of foods. Wine was also provided, which may have been similar to vinegar, but with the unexplored territories Rome was expanding into, the wine would have been safer to drink than the water. Back in the capital, the richest Romans would have enjoyed majestic meals for their afternoon cena. And what's this? You've been invited! So, what should you expect when you turn up? Upon your arrival, make sure you can spot no dirt in the household, as this would be a sign of disrespect to you as the guest. If you had a reputable social status, you would have been served a fine wine, and the meal would take place in a finely decorated dining room called another word I can't pronounce, which had a beautiful view of the Perry-style garden. A standard-sized party would be of around 9 people, where you would lean your left elbow on the couches and eat in the reclined position. The reclined position was deemed indispensable to one's comfort while eating, and a live flute band would play as the waiters would bring out an appetizer called gustario, consisting of eggs, crabs, salad and mushrooms. The main course of cena, called prime mensae, centered around meat, with slaves cutting off meat of a whole boar and serving it to guests. For dessert, you would be treated with beautiful pastries, dried grapes, nuts and fruits, but make sure you get a large napkin and fill it with leftovers for later. Between each course, you would be entertained by dancers and musicians while riddles were told and lotteries held. After the feasts, guests would share their stories while drinking wine, which would loosen the tongue and allow you to give wisdom and advice. Spanish dancing girls would perform for you, and if you're a male guest, you would have the option for an orgy of these fine ladies. I said they liked orgies. Flowered wreaths and perfumes were also handed out, which was supposed to draw off the drunkenness, and in the midst of all this excitement, you would be serenaded with a flute and harp player. The feasts would usually last around 8 to 10 hours, and the presentation of food was just as important as the taste. And that was what the Romans ate. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to check out another video in the playlist Food Throughout History. Like the video if you haven't already, and make sure you do subscribe for more food in your belly. I've been Jamie's Day, your favourite day of the week, and this was What Did the Romans Eat? I'll see you all later. Peace.